actions. That's what makes you who you are.
Listen, just left the movie theaters with my daughter. You know, I took her to the morning matinee to check it out, man. You know, had to go and get it for the low. I was planning to watch it again, you know, depending on how good the movie was. I'll say this. I'm not going to spoil too much of the movie. I'm just going to give my just out of the theater reaction. My daughter really enjoyed the movie for the most part. She liked it. She's 8 years old. She enjoyed herself. And that's really the main thing that counts, because it is a superhero movie. Even though it is something that people my age and people older than me, younger, all around the board grew up, you know, watching Superman or loving Superman or whatever. Even though it's for everybody, have to remember, this is for the kids. So sometimes when I do a reaction on a movie, especially when it's dealing with superheroes, Marvel, DC, or whoever, I look at it from the lens of, did the kids enjoy it? Or will the kids enjoy it? Or do I think a kid will enjoy it? That's how I look at it. Now, she said she liked it. She's an 8-year-old girl, and she likes superheroes. My baby girl loves wrestling and stuff. But me, you know, talking about me personally, my out-of-theater reaction, the movie was just okay. It was just okay. It was a meh. It was a meh. If you felt like the Thunderbolts didn't do it for you, or you felt like Captain America didn't do it for you, to me, they all running neck and neck. It's just that Superman is a much more important hero and figure than those other people. Now, I did like Thunderbolts. And I might have liked Thunderbolts more than I like Superman, but this is not about that. This is about Superman. I didn't hate Thunderbolts. I'm sorry if you hated it. Just for me, I just feel like the action, if I'm comparing it to Man of Steel, Henry Cavill, I just feel like the action wasn't as great as it was in that movie. Like, the fights wasn't as epic as that. They introduced a couple of characters in this movie, and it really kind of reminded me of Black Adam, because they had a form of Justice Society or whatever you want to call it in the movie. It was it had a corny name. I think that's one of my issues with the movies. I like James Gunn and some of the work that James Gunn does, but I think James Gunn sometimes pushes the limits on corny, which is okay in a lot of instances, in a lot of occasions. I just think Superman is corny in a different kind of way, but the type of corny that James Gunn tried to implement in this movie, it didn't land for me. For me, you know, it probably landed for some of y'all, but for me personally, it just didn't land. Like, it was only a couple of jokes that I really just laughed at. For the most part, it wasn't hitting for me. And they tried with a few people. I must say, without spoiling the movie, my favorite character is probably Krypto. And coming into this, I hated Krypto because I was like, what's the point of using Krypto? What's the point of using a dog? And then it wasn't even a cute dog to me. But as I watched the movie, Krypto grew on me. Krypto was my favorite part of the movie. David Cornsweet, I think that's his name. He didn't do a bad job either. He was great as Superman. I just feel like the movie was kind of hit or miss with the comedy and the action. For me, that's how it was for me. And I feel like some of the villains and the fight scenes, like I said, it kind of put me in the mind of Power Rangers. It was kind of plastic, like are these toys? Those are my only complaints, but it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just not a great movie. The movie still might make $1 billion just because it has Superman's name attached to it. I expect it to make $1 billion, but I don't view it as a $1 billion movie. Now, whatever it's setting up down the line, I think it can be just a safe first major movie in the DC new universe or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's a safe version. We'll see what Green Lanterns have coming up after this, because I think that's the next project coming. But yeah, I think this movie played it safe a lot of times. I did like the message of the movie. I felt the message in the movie. And it's not about being woke or not being woke. It's just I felt the message. They didn't beat you down with the message of the movie. They didn't beat you over the head with it, but you kind of felt it. You felt the emotion that Superman was wrestling with throughout this movie, as, you know, he went through his trials and tribulations and his growth process. You felt it, and at the end, they paid it off. They paid it off, you know. But just like for me, like I said, the movie was meh. Lex Luthor gave us some good speeches. It still didn't hit for me. I seen my boy, who was that? Dinner Nerds. I seen him the other day, and he was talking about how great Lex did, and I watched it. I was like, Lex, I don't know what type of Lex Luthor I'm looking for. It's like I view Lex as this villain, like this all-time great villain, And I don't think anybody has gave us an all-time great Lex Luthor. Not on screen. I don't think we've had it. In the cartoons, we've had it. In the comics, we had it. In the animated movies, we had it. On screen, I'm still waiting for an all-time great Lex Luthor. And I think part of the problem is with the last two Lex Luthors, they keep going with this young, thin guy. And I'm used to the comic book animated version of Lex that got in shape and bulked up, because his ego, he's driven by pride and ego, and he really wanted to match Superman in some form of fashion, even though he knew he couldn't match him as pure strength. I'm used to that Lex. You know what I'm saying? I'll even take the Lex from the CW version that they just had with the big beard. I even take that over some of the ones we got. But it wasn't a bad Lex. He just didn't do it for me. Now, he was a maniacal, you know what I'm saying, man, you know what I'm saying? He was evil. He was bad. It just didn't hit for me. But those were my personal issues with the movie. Outside of that, I felt like the movie was okay. I'm gonna wrestle with watching it again, but it's not something that I would just be like, I gotta go see this at the movies a second time or a third time. But then again, I did tell y'all that Superman wasn't my favorite DC character anyway. It's Batman. I never liked the goody two-shoes guy. They did put some emotional depth in Superman. It was some pushback. You did see Superman get angry a couple of times. I know there was people that was complaining when they saw that in the trailer. Oh, he's angry. He's yelling. It's Superman. Like, damn, let people be human. We prefer the humanity in a person. We prefer that. You know, if I go back to Thunderbolts, like, that's one of my major things with Sentry. Like, when you're all powerful, like, you have to be vulnerable in some form of way. And with the Sentry, he's basically mimicking Superman or whatever. That's why they came up with the crazy thing, the strength of 1,000,000 exploding suns, that don't make no sense. But he's schizophrenic, you know what I'm saying? Like, his mind isn't all there, and he has an alter ego that's always trying to come out and kill it. So that makes him vulnerable in a way. You know, with Superman, you have a guy that really doesn't have any vulnerabilities except for, you know, kryptonite, and then he's a country bumpkin. You know what I'm saying? That's it. But they humanized him a little bit more, even his relationship with Lois, and, you know, even Lois struggling. But I mean, Lois kind of been a butthole throughout the majority of all the Superman content. Lois kind of has always been a little of a butthole. But anyway, man, that's my reaction. Go and watch the movie and you know, make your own opinion. Make your own opinion. This is just how I feel. I know y'all gonna add me, dog. Junior.